Hey guys, it's your radio host Lady P, and
this cousin Howard.
this is the New Relationship Show. We are so excited that you've joined us today. What we are talking about, our topic tonight, I think is very timely with the days that we're living in. And we're going to get started. Naomi and Jamie should be joining us from the panel, but we want to just kind of get started to make sure we get to everything for you tonight, especially because we won't be here next week. So we want to get everything packed in tonight. So our topic that we're talking about tonight is COVID and relationships and how the pandemic has rewritten relationships. So I think that is very, very timely considering we are still, what is this, May, right? So we are just shy of 14 months because I want to say everything shut down mid-March, right? So just shy of 14 months into this pandemic. And if we rewind and go back, even a year, not even the 14 months, I remember thinking, when everything first shut down, it was fun. It was fun and games like, ooh, good, I get to work from home because, prior to COVID, a lot of companies wanted to see bodies in seats. They didn't want to allow you to work remote. So, the thought that we'd get to do it, for a couple months, hey, it was fun and games. I was like, okay. And I remember thinking, wow, plane fare is really inexpensive. I think I'm going to try to take my kids on a trip Memorial Day weekend. Well, sadly enough, by May, we realized that this whole thing went from 0 to 60 quickly, and we weren't ready. I wasn't ready. I can't really speak for everybody else, but I know I wasn't ready. So we want to talk about COVID and relationships. Now, a couple weeks ago, we talked about dating during a pandemic. Now, cousin and I are both single, and so for me, I'm just speaking for myself, I wasn't really dating at the time that everything shut down anyway. And I'm not really trying to date
Neither
right
was
now
I.
because I got so much stuff going on. But we wanted to talk to talk to people in relationships or that have been in long term, or maybe they've just began a relationship during this whole pandemic. Because one of the things that we noted on the episode where we were talking about COVID and dating was that they found a change on the dating sites. So all those sites like Hinge and I forgot the other one that, the hookup sites, those kind of changed because people weren't really trying to hook up because, we were on lockdown anyway, and they were more interested in trying to find a relationship because of safety, because, you have to figure social distancing. It's kind of hard to maintain the whole being what you call them people, cousin? They're just out there messing with everybody. Oh.
Being a player.
I'm just asking. But anyway, it just with social distancing and the COVID out there and so many people losing their lives to it, I think it made people who were just out there trying to do booty calls like kind of like, ooh, let me chill for a minute, because now instead of having the conversation before you hook up about, do you have a HIV test just to make sure we good before we go do the do? It's kind of like, well, have you had a COVID test? You're going to do a COVID test before I meet you in person? We're just going to do FaceTime? Because now it wasn't just for yourself, but if you lived with family or you have older members in your family, you didn't want to inadvertently bring something to them because you out there trying to get your freak on. I'm just saying. And like I said, I'm speaking from a standpoint of somebody that really wasn't doing any kind of dating, but what we found was that during that time, a lot of folks who were really into like temporary things were trying to find something more permanent. Now, I do know that, with the vaccine being out and so many people being vaccinated, I was reading an article saying that they were mentioning that condom sales have gone up. So I guess people like, shoot, I'm ready to go now. It's been a year, let me go get me tightened up, get some protection and all that stuff. So we wanted to talk about just really how the pandemic itself has rewritten relationships. I was looking at a survey, and it was saying how 27% of participants in this particular survey said that the relationship was made better because of the pandemic. 27% said it was made worse. So I guess it just depended. I mean, that period of forced lockdown where it wasn't like you could plan for it, like say, okay, next month we're going to be together. It was like one day, everything was one way, and the next day we went 0 to 100. So it was like you're forced lockdown. So if you used to just get out the house to kind of get some peace, those days were over. And then you found people who had, let's say they had a whole bunch of children, and they were used to having the kids go to school or childcare so they could get a break, even if they weren't necessarily working, but they got a break from them. That was now over. We found that there was an increase in domestic violence, unfortunately, because of the forced confinement, and then probably stresses from finances and things like that. So a lot of things happened during the course of the pandemic. But when we looked at just the relationships, it was talking about some of the challenges that the readers had were that they were bored, and they felt it was too much time together. And those were challenges because, if you're with somebody, I remember years and years ago, I had a friend whose husband was a consultant. So what that meant was that on Monday he would fly out to wherever his client was, and he was there from like Monday to Friday, and then he would come home Friday night for the weekend. And the first probably 5 years of their marriage, that's how it was. And then he took a local job, and she was like, because she had gotten used to having her free time during the weekend, whatever it was she did, it wasn't like she had to say, oh, I'm going here, I'm going there, because he was out of town anyway. And when he came back, it was like, okay, he's here every night. He wanted me to cook every night. I ain't really trying to cook. I was cooking on the weekends, but dang, So it just, it was an adjustment for her. I'm just saying. Hey, Naomi.
Hello.
How are
I
you?
feel different.
I know.
What you did?
I pull my hair up.
And is this sun shining on you?
Is the sun shining? Oh, it may be. Let me check that.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I'm like, all I see. But that's the thing with the longer days, too. So we had just gotten started talking about the pandemic and how it changed relationships, Naomi. And one of the things, they were talking about too much time together, and boredom was one of the biggest challenges, of living with a partner during the pandemic. So I was sharing with Cousin Howard how I had a friend, and years ago, she had been married, and I want to say the first 5 years of her marriage, her husband worked as a consultant, and he was, gone during the week. He would fly out Monday morning to his assignment and then come back Friday night and then be home for the weekend. And they did that for 5 years. And then he took a job locally. And, it was a challenge because she had been used to him being gone in the week. She didn't have to, get home at a certain time. She could go to the gym or, hang out with her friends. She knew he was home on the weekends. But now, he was there every night. It was like the whole cooking thing where she only cooked on the weekends. And, it was adjustments that had to be made. And what I was sharing with Cousin is that how the pandemic happened, it was like it went from 0 to 100, right? So it wasn't like you had time to prepare to say now you're going to be bored in the house and in the house bored. You had no time. It was like one day everybody was at work and the next day everything shut down. And then on top of that, a lot of people, depending on the industries they worked in, they lost their jobs. So now you're forced to be in the house. You can't even get out to go to work. So you 24/7 looking at each other. And that's when they found out they ain't really like one another. You know, some people found out that, you know, they were, like for me, it was great because I got a chance to spend more time with my kids. But then I'm not in a relationship. So like for me and my kids, from the hustle and bustle of get up, hurry up, go to school. You know, I leave for work, and then by the time I come back, I got to make dinner. We got an hour, and it's bedtime. Now we have time, you know, to spend more time together, to spend quality time together. And I still, you know, they went to their dad on the weekends, but, you know, it was always where I barely had time with them because of school and work. And then the weekends where he would have time, you know, where I would have time, they weren't with me. So it was great for me because then I got to spend more time because these years that, you know, that they're the age that they are, I'm not going to have those years long. So for me, it was good, but that's a different type of relationship. So we're talking about relationships that her cousin and I are not currently in, and I personally haven't been in for about 3 years. So, you know, I really can't speak to any change.
You're just trying to throw me under the bus, aren't you?
No, I'm trying to just speak for myself and not speak for you.
But
that's
you
why
keep calling my name.
I just said we were both
Just speak
single.
for you.
Oh, so okay,
Sure,
I'm sorry.
Naomi.
I'm single. I can't speak for Cousin Howard because he says I'm calling his name. So I'm single, and I've been single for 3 years. So that's all I'm talking on, myself. So anyway, in looking at the relationships being rewritten, one of the interesting things was that this year, 2021, when Valentine's Day rolled around, they said a third of the people who participated in the survey actually skipped Valentine's Day this year. And it wasn't because they were like me and single and wasn't doing it anyway, waiting until the next day to go get my candy. But they just actually skipped it. And these would be people that were in relationships where, you know, that would be, you would think that would be a big thing. So do you have some thoughts, Naomi, on some of the ways that you've seen with different ones that you talk to or clients, how relationships have changed or been rewritten, I guess, because of this pandemic?
So when I saw this title, I did have to rely on, you know, just people that I've talked to over the last year. I say the last 12 to 14 months. And it's not so much that it's been rewritten. It's that, for me, what I've observed is that relationships have been exposed. And so that's what that's just what I saw as I talked to people, as I listened to people. It had been exposed. And when I received this topic, I was thinking, I had an incident that happened to me. And I was in the bed, and I was listening to the television, and I was like, it is supposed to be raining outside, and I love the rain. And I just kept saying, it's supposed to be raining outside, it's supposed to be raining outside. Why isn't it raining outside? I turned down the television, and it was raining outside. So it's just like the relationship. It'd been tuned up so high with going here and there and moving there and forth. We didn't see what was underneath. They didn't get a chance to see what was underneath in their relationship. And once it got exposed, and I hope this is what couples realize too, once it's exposed, it's more than, you're going to be surprised at some things that you find out, but it's also a way and a time to reconnect. And that's what I'm all about. I'm about reclaiming romance, reclaiming your relationship. And so it's really a time to do that. But if your relationship is never exposed for what it is, you'll never do the work on it.
Yeah.
And what COVID did was allow a lot of relationships to be exposed. And the good thing is, because it's exposed, you together, you get a chance to rewrite it. You get a chance to rewrite what it can be. You get a chance to rewrite what does it look like when I when I'm in the house with my spouse and we're stuck in, you know, do we've been through the fussing part and everything, so now where we're going to go from here? And I just really want people, I was so glad you brought this topic up because so many people are talking about, I never knew. Okay, well, now you know.
So now what you going to do? Right.
I know,
So,
but a lot of people.
So what are you going to do about it? And just know that you have the power to do something about it. And if you really want your relationship to work, if you really want your relationship to work, fight for it.
But you know what I found from a lot of different people I spoke with over the last year. A lot of them, they thought they were in love with their spouse because, like Lady P said, they never really saw them. You know, and if you don't really see somebody, it's very easy to love that person. But when you got to see that person every single day, all night, you realize, like, yo, I don't really check for you the way I thought I did. And that's sad because then they don't want to leave that person, but they just want that person to go back to way pre-COVID. You know, to the point where, oh, you get up and you leave on Monday morning and you come back on Friday night and we enjoy each other for 2 days and then bye. You know, it doesn't mean they don't love their spouse. It means that, like you said, they need to work on whatever the problem is. If it's worth having, it's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
true. And
there's so much negativity out there now that my voice and my voice, my approach, and my cry, if you want to say it, it has totally changed because there's so much negativity going on around relationships now, and it doesn't have to be so. You can relearn each other, and you can decide, you know, how can I make this better? And I'm about committed relationships. So when I say relationships, I'm talking about committed relationships that you said for better or for worse. Well, guess what? You have the power to make it better. Really do. And if you're going to be fussing, fuss towards something that brings you closer together.
Yeah.
Work towards resolving versus going further apart. And that's just, anyone that comes to me, that's what you're going to hear. So if you don't want to hear that, don't come my way. Because don't come.
That's what I told a lot of couples. I think that Lady P had said a few months back. Go to dinner once a week. Do a getaway once a month. And every 3 months, do a mini vacation. When I say that, like, one day of the week, it don't have to be Saturday night. It could be Monday, it could be Tuesday, any night. Just you and your spouse, go to dinner. You don't have to go to a 5-star restaurant where a cup of soda is $5, $6. You can go to Denny's, you know? And then once a week, once a month, go to a hotel. Leave the phones at home and go spend Saturday night at the hotel. You check in Saturday morning, you check out Sunday morning. Don't call nobody, just you and your spouse. Lay up in the bed, do whatever comes to mind. And then once every 3 months, take a mini vacation. Take off Friday and Monday. And again, just the two of you. Whether you drive to the next town and check in at a hotel, let the kids know where you at. But other than that, you know, don't let nobody know where you at. Just spend a 4-day weekend, just you and your spouse. You know, and a lot of people I've told that to, they're like, man, that makes sense. You know, I got to try that. And I'm like, try it. You know, you might like it. Get to know your wife or your husband all over again. Figure out why you fell in love with that person so many years ago. And work back from there. You know?
I also suggest things like recreate your house. Stuck in the house together, recreate your house. Go on the patio, put some music together, put out a card table, decorate the card table, put out a couple of chairs, and make a nice dinner on the patio. just recreate your house so that you have some memories in the house that you're stuck in, that you may be stuck in. So when you look out on the patio, you can remember sitting out there listening to some throwback music, having a drink, laughing about some things that y'all have gone through, reminiscing, the dinner, whether the dinner was good or bad. It's just some things that you can do. It's really some things that you can do to brighten up the space in your home. And that's rewriting the relationship. It's exposed. I'm in the house together. Let's rewrite this house. Let's make, when we look at the patio, let's make it mean something. Let's do something. I remember one time I've always wanted to drink in the rain, and so when my husband was alive, that's what we did.
You just had wine.
Wine. I would claim wine. I don't drink liquor. So where I come from, drinking is liquor. So when I say I don't drink, it means I don't drink anything that I don't drink liquor.
That needs a mixer.
That needs a mixture. I drink wine and champagne. I like wine and champagne.
Okay.
So where I come from, drink means you got a drink. And you come up with a glass of wine, they be like, that ain't no drink.
That ain't no, Not you,
yeah, but that's why I say that. So you would drink scotch? Because you don't mix scotch with nothing else.
No, I drink wine.
You drink
and
scotch
champagne.
on the rocks. So technically, that is with something else than just a scotch. I'm just saying.
Wine
but
and
she
champagne.
doesn't drink hard liquor, period. But so, what the pandemic did, it not only highlighted the weaknesses, but it highlighted some strengths. And, it forced couples to have to put in the work. Because a lot of times, because even in looking at what happened with the job shutting everything down, what we found was, a few months in, the high executives chose to go into the office. And I'm like, they probably wanted to get away from the wife and kids because they're used to being gone all day, and let's say it's a stay-at-home wife. So they couldn't wait. They didn't worry about everybody else coming in per se, but it was like they were like rushing, to get back into the office and get life back to normal. But I looked at it and I felt like they just, wanted a break from, being in the home because, one of the things when there's a situation with a stay-at-home spouse, the other one seems to feel like they don't do anything. And when they're now in a situation when everything shut down and they were forced to be in the house with the wife and the kids and see all the stuff that had to go with being in the house, they opted to get back in the office, right? But I think it gave an opportunity to kind of communicate if they were willing to put in the work, and realizing, because a lot of times people find the easy way out is to just go somewhere, hang out with friends. Well, that's no longer an option. So now let's look at the strengths that. Are you talking to us? Oh.
No,
Cousin Howard be having people in the background.
Yeah, because I was talking to him, I'm like, wait, huh? Okay.
He has an audience. He has people in the background that we don't know about.
Like he live in the studio, got a studio audience with you. Hi, Cousin Howard, people. But yeah, so one of the things, this survey that I was looking at, it was 46% of the respondents who the demographics were Caucasian women, at least 55 years old and married, said that the pandemic hadn't changed much about their relationship, but it had actually improved the relationship in about 27% of them. And I remember, and I'm not saying anything about black love. I love black love. I just ain't got it right now. But a lot of times what I would see would be like two little old white people walking around holding hands. I'm just saying. And I'm like, where the little old black people? Because the men be trying to play and try to get these little young chicken heads. I'm just saying. But primarily, I see them and I'm like, wow, and they just, kids grown and gone and they just walk and hold their hands. And I'm like, I want to be like that when I get old. But as I get old, I'm like, well, I don't know. But, so in this particular survey, they said that
But you're already old.
however old I am, cousin, you'll always be older. So the survey said that couples were finding that the pandemic actually made them closer. It helped them to spend time together, which kind of helped them to get to know one another better, and especially in relationships that are long term. And maybe it's changed from how it was in the beginning, and now it's been X amount of years. You had kids, the kids are grown and gone, so you have to reconnect. And because now it's not about the kids are gone, and it's where you started again. So I think this particular demographic at that age, if they had married young, the kids are gone. Me, I married late, I had my kids late, so that wouldn't be me at that age. But in this particular demographic that took the survey in the article I read, that's what they were saying. A couple said
So, Lady P, I want to challenge that survey. I'm feeling a little combative tonight.
Okay. So, what about the little white people? The little couple?
Well, I want to challenge that survey because you say that 27% of them say that their marriage is better. But what I'm going to say.
Well, that's what they said.
Wait a minute. Let me say what I need to say, though.
Okay.
What I'm going to say is, I ain't seen a lot of men filling our survey.
Oh, so the women might think it's better. Because it said they were primarily white women, at least 55.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was them saying
what
that.
The man has to say.
Also, they thought it was better, and the men sitting there like, oh, this lady made me sick.
Because they're home more, and that's what the wife wants.
Right.
They may say that it's better.
But then for the man, they don't want to be home.
The better is that I want him here. He's never here, and he's here now.
And now he's forced to be
better.
here. So it's actually
now let
awesome
me hear what
for
that
me.
man say. Is it better, or is he just home more?
Well,
because I will say when it comes to executive men, they do want to be in the office because people
they can
become
control
executives
that
most
more,
of the time
right?
because of control and power.
Mm-hmm.
So that office gives them that feeling of control.
And they don't have no control at home with
and
all the
power.
kids.
And so they won't, they attach themselves to that office and they want to get in the office. I have a client, he kept going to the office, but he said I can't do it at home. I can't, if I'm at home, I'm home. And that may be how some executives feel too. They become less productive.
Okay.
If I'm home, guess what? I'm home. I need to be in the office to be productive, to get it done because that's my zone. Maybe not as versatile as women are when it comes to being able to try and figure out how do I do my work day at home. A man, when he come home, you ready to do what? Cousin, I'll kick your shoes off and relax, right?
Hell yeah.
That's what home means.
And true, because I find that I'm more productive because I don't have the commute. I don't have the people getting on my nerves on the road. I actually get more done, and I work longer, actually, because, I have to finish at a certain time. I have a hard stop because I need to now get back on the road to go pick up my child from after school and all this stuff, whereas that's no longer an issue. So I find myself starting at 7:30, where I used to leave at 4:30. It might be 6 o'clock. And I'm like, okay, now let me sign off because, and it didn't even faze me because I'm like, I'm getting stuff done. I've got my delivery, So I guess it's a different kind of thing because when they were trying to get people back in the office, I noticed the only ones that were like gung-ho about coming back were all the like upper management, the CIO, all of them, wanted to get back where, other people that had other responsibilities and I guess can walk and chew gum, right? And multitask and have to deal with your kids are in school right here and, if they have a question, you got to pause what you're doing, help them if they're having technology issues because some of the things that the kids had to learn how to do this school year are so advanced that there's some adults that aren't able to do that. Right. My son, and it's funny because they have all their meetings on Teams. Well, my meetings at work are on Teams too, and I just keep my camera off. He's like, oh, well, I just added this background, so and I'm like, I didn't even know how to do that. But, this is something at 9 years old that he did, and he set up and all of this stuff because now he's using Teams and things where some adults really don't even know how to do that. So on top of schoolwork, they're having to learn new technology, new ways to access stuff, new ways to upload assignments, how they have to, and my one son, he was having an issue, and he could have asked me because I'm like, hello, what do I do for work? I'm just saying. But he wasn't able to save his stuff separately and upload it. So as a result, he's uploading all blank stuff. Now the teacher could have just said, hey, you need help. But he didn't. He just gives them all zeros. And then when I see it, I'm like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, well, did you tell the teacher you were having an issue? No. Did you tell me? And I could have told you how to do it. No. But they have, all these challenges and things. And so you have to be able to multitask to do your stuff and as well help them. And I think women are more set up to do that. Because initially I would, I think I was in transition when COVID first shut everything down. So they were doing school at their dad's house. And I was like, are you making sure they log in? Are you doing it? No, that's your job to do. Okay, you see I'm not over there. I'm trying to deal with my situation. So if they're there under, and you're there with them, you need to make sure. And he was like, well, no, that's your job to, really? So I think it's probably better for the executives to be in the office because they're really not much help, with the things that need to be done at home because their focus is the office and all the stuff they need to do. So as women, it seems like we know we're able to multitask more. And, the women that are home and maybe housewives, it's probably, now you can't go anywhere. You can't go shopping. You can't go meet your friend at the mall. So you in the house bored. And then he's home with you good. Now I got somebody to talk to. He's probably like, Jesus, wish he stopped talking. I want to go back to work. I don't want to, because it's like, well, since I can't see my girlfriend, you're here. You're it. So they're like ecstatic. My husband is home with me, So it was challenges, but I think some of the relationships came out for the better. I haven't heard anything as far as whether there was an increase in divorce during the pandemic or not, if it, affected it that way. I think it made people have to work stuff out, and dudes that had side chicks, they had to let them go because they couldn't go see them, so that probably helped their relationship anyway. I'm just saying. And I'm saying this as a woman who don't know, so I'd have to ask Cousin Howard, as a man, would he say that was a true statement?
How should I know?
You're a dude. I'm just saying, don't you speak to men?
Why are you trying to throw me under the bus?
I'm not. I'm saying as a man, would you say that's a true statement? As far as...
What, that they had to lose their side chick?
Yeah, because they can't go see him because now they got COVID. COVID is out there, and they could... Now, what if they get COVID from the side chick? Well, I guess that's like getting the STD and bringing it home, so never mind.
You got to make sure you wear your mask, and before you go back in the house, change your clothes.
You're so horrible. I hope men weren't doing what you're saying, and that's bad.
You asked me a question.
But then you said you wouldn't know anything like that about that. But the way how you explaining it, I'm just saying, cause I'm just saying.
No, because I got a lot of friends, and they were still.
You got a lot of friends.
I got friends.
Don't they say Naomi,
work.
birds of a feather? I had heard that. I don't know. But go ahead, cousin.
Birds of a feather, I can't cuss on this radio.
Thank you.
You can say you're behind.
I got friends that still went to work. They still had jobs that they had to go to. They didn't have a choice. So those guys, I don't know if they cut off their side piece. They never said yes. They never said no.
Let's not assume that everyone did do that because they, like you say, ways were found.
Oh, so you don't think a lot of them cut off the side chicks or the side people?
No. I don't think so either. And some of the wives that had side piece didn't cut off their side piece. They found means
I'm
and
sure
ways
the
to go
majority of
visit.
the men had side pieces more than the wives. I'm just saying.
Women play the game a million times better.
I don't know what you mean, and I can't speak to that because I don't know anything about that. I'm just
Naomi,
saying. I'm just
please,
saying. I'm just
enlighten the people.
saying.
I would never expose what we do. I would never.
I'm like,
You don't have to do it on the air.
cousin come with his
But
foolishness.
enlighten her for me.
First of all, cousin,
First of all, what?
I don't agree with your statement. So I can't speak for
Really?
any other woman. I can only speak for
Your
myself.
research.
Pardon
Do
me?
your research.
What I can say, and this is not about doing more, but women do tend to be better.
Because they invented
Because
the
guys
game.
are stupid, and that's why they
Be
get
better.
busted. I mean, and I'm not even saying cheating. I'm saying, okay, give you a scenario. Dude is walking with his wife. He see a booty girl. He will definitely get in trouble because first thing is the wife saw the. No, listen, cousin. The wife saw the booty girl first, so she watching him to see his reaction, and he's so stupid he hasn't figured out how to just have a poker face and not react. So he gets busted. It's a whole big thing. Now, same scenario, same couple walking down the street, and you see this 6'4" buff looking fine, chocolate dude, and the wife says, "Oh, I dropped this. Can you get that for me?" When he bent down, she looked, "Hey," and it's over. And he, she's slick with it, right? I'm just saying, guys are they just. But I
That's
mean,
why I
I'm
tell
just
you,
saying
women
scenarios.
women are a better player. They invented the game.
I just finished.
But
I just
a lot
said
of
that.
guys that get caught because they're stupid and they don't
And most
care.
of them are. That's why they get caught.
I can't say that women invented the game, but we may.
But we do it better.
No,
Yeah, we
women
may have
invented the game.
No,
I
we
can't say that
didn't.
we
No,
invented it.
because we didn't invent the game, but we learned how to play the game better because it was better than being played constantly. I'm just saying.
Look here.
Ooh,
I-
this is getting deep now. This is getting
I
deep.
have ran into women that some of the stuff they told me, all I could sit down and say, wow.
Well, see, women have
It's
to
like
learn
that?
to keep their mouth shut. That's how they get busted. Cause
And
they
I
talk
can
too
say
much.
the same thing about men. I mean both. Are when you play in that mud.
You need to keep it to yourself. You don't even tell your best friend.
Yeah.
Whatever,
It's
if you
muddy on
decide
both
to be,
ends.
you decide to be slimy, you need to take it to the grave. You need to never mention it. You never need to be like, oh, I feel guilty. I'm going to tell. Don't do it. Don't even tell a friend because
They don't feel they will never. I've ran into women. We don't have nothing other than straight platonic friendship. And some of the stuff that they have told me they have done and went straight home and dude did his thing and never knew. That's why when guys look at me, man, if my girl cheat, I know. I'm like, okay. Let me know how that works out for you. Because you don't. Women can get out of one bed and get in another bed and you will never know. With a guy, he get out of this bed and he go home, he better have something in the reserve. Because if he don't, it's not like he could tell his wife,
especially if he
I
needs
got a
20,
headache.
especially if he needs 24 hours to rebound. So
You know, he can't
he'll
go
have
home
an
and tell
issue.
his wife, baby, I got a headache tonight. His wife gonna say, oh really? Well, I don't, and I want some. What you gonna do?
I've never said that.
I
I'm
didn't-
like good. I'm just saying, but but what I'm saying is, honestly, a lot of times what gets the men in trouble is that they brag and it ends up getting back. So what I would say in either scenario, keep it to yourself, take it to the grave. Don't even tell your best friend because when y'all fall out, they're going to tell on you. So just, if you have to go that route, my personal thing is if you feel like you need to go that route, you don't need to be in a relationship. Just do you. I mean, why are you gonna just what's the point? Because then you just hurt the person you're with. And we done went way off topic on this because of you, cousin. I'm just saying.
No, 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 not because of me. Don't you dare blame me.
I'm saying that's where, but let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to our topic because
So before we transition to the letter, I would just like to check in. How you doing, cousin Howard?
I'm good. I'm good. Tested negative 3 times.
he has a the cough thing going on still. So and that's
I,
what
it
happens.
left me with a dry cough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he just for a few weeks he's just gonna have to treat the cough till that eventually goes away. So
Good. Glad
but
to hear
yeah,
that. So
he
glad to hear
he
that.
has recovered, which is good because I think the biggest thing with it is the fear when you find out you have it because there's so many people that have had well I guess it's not when you look at the total people that got it what percentage, but it just seems like that's what you hear about the most. So the minute you find out that you test, I mean, like for me, I was just like so afraid because of all the stuff I've heard and the bad outcomes and so I got with my doctor. He got a whole bunch of meds for me to take to try to get ahead of it, which worked for me, and I thank God for that. But it's a lot of fear about it. So I'm glad that not only that I recovered, but now I'm fully vaccinated. I think I'm 3 weeks out from my second shot. So I'm happy about that. But this thing, I mean, I think I've heard that the state of Florida, the Surgeon General for the state of Florida has said that enough people have been vaccinated in the state. So he says in Florida, if you're vaccinated, you are not required to wear a mask indoors or out. Now, the problem with that is how do you know that the person is vaccinated that doesn't have a mask next to you? He can say that, but if you're indoors somewhere, you don't know that they're not walking with a big V on their forehead to let you know they're you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
so it kind of makes it. He said that, but I'm like, but how do you really enforce that? I don't know, but I see more things are opening up. They're loosening, the mandates on a lot of things, and so I think I heard potentially by the end of this year, a lot of the things that we had to do, with the mask and the social distancing, we may have gotten to the point where we're finished with that. I don't know. And maybe then now that's going to change the whole, I guess it would be relationships after the pandemic. Did you make it through? You know what I mean? Like, because then if there was such a change during, like you're forced to be in the house, you're forced to work through issues and everything, and then now that the restrictions are eased, does it continue going the way that it has been when you were like in forced proximity, or now that you're free to travel the country, so to speak, do you go back to how it was if it was some, you know what I mean? So I think even post-pandemic, there may be some changes in relationships just, because now things are opening up. So now if it was the husband that was always gone after work, he went to the gym till the gym closed and he was never home. So now the wife got used to him being home because, all these things were shut down and now they're back open. How does the relationship fare, during with the going back to what it was before? Now it's going to be some kind of effect on it, I believe. I mean, we'll see when that time comes what happens and what the research shows and things like that. But we just wish all relationship people the best with the challenges, from this new normal, I guess, or the new norm that we have, because, every different thing, every outside stimuli affects the relationship. Stresses from work, stresses from, certain things that unfortunately it shouldn't. You should try to kind of have a separation, but you don't. So, we just encourage communication. We encourage you to try some different things, have a game night, board game. It's different things because you have the time to do it. And if you can make your own board game, do a little research. You got time to be on the computer. You have nothing else to do. And I'm sure the TV shows, you get sick of seeing the same stuff. You've seen all the reruns because if you're watching 24/7, things repeat and repeat. So, I think that this time can actually help relationships if you're willing to put in the work. But it is work. Every relationship is work, any way you look at it. Even if you're doing the work to try to sneak out and do what you do, it's still work. Or just doing the work to make it stronger, doing the work to, bring back the love you first had, before kids, before responsibilities of, different things, so it's possible. It's just work, and you put in the work, anything can be accomplished, I think. So
That is true.
So I know we went way off topic, but I tried to bring us back in. So Naomi, any final thoughts on this before we move on to our letter?
I just think all things work for the good, even in relationships. All things work for the good if you allow it to.
I agree.
Allow it to.
Okay. So we're going to get into this letter. It goes like this. Dear Lady P, my ex-husband and I divorced about 6 years ago. Prior to our divorce, we were separated for 4 years, and for these years, I've mostly been a single mom, successfully raising our 2 daughters, now ages 20 and 24. Our 24-year-old received her Bachelor's of Science degree and now has a successful career. Our youngest is in her second year of college and doing well. For years, my ex has asked me if we can reunite, but my answer has always been no because I didn't want to deal with / relive all the infidelity, lies, his unemployment, and his lack of support. However, after going through dating woes with other males, now I'm wanting to reunite with my ex, and he still wants this too. Do you think we should put our family back together? Have you seen other couples remarry after long separations? And can I finish the letter? And live happily ever after? Please note, my husband and I come from single-parent homes, and we are now realizing at the age of 49, me, and 52, him, what family is about. He never remarried, and I haven't either, but we want to get back together. Any feedback you can provide will be greatly appreciated. Thanks. Signed, Unsure
Please.
Ex-Wife. And I guess, cousin, you'd like to give us your thoughts on it first?
Sure, why not? my way of thinking, you're an ex for a reason. Do not revisit, redo anything with that. Because all you're going to do is set yourself up to get hurt. That's all that's going to come out of that. Whatever reason that you all decided to separate for 4 years and then divorce 6 years ago is still there. Regardless to what you may think, it is still there. Okay? I don't believe in that. You can remain friends, you can co-parent together, and that's fine and dandy. That's a horse of a different color. But do not go back and figure that the other one has changed for the better and that things will be better. I do not believe that, not even for a half a second. Maybe I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, God forgive me. Okay? But I do not believe that you've been divorced 10 years technically. You were separated 4, you've been divorced for 6. That's 10 years. Okay? What make you think that he has changed? What has he done to show you that he has changed? Because from this letter, he ain't done nothing. See? And you the only one pushing your two girls to be better. So what that you came from a single parent home? Whoopee. Half this country is from single parent home. See? That don't mean nothing. See? I don't believe, I believe you walked away for a reason. Think about that reason and look at your life. Look at his life, whatever little you know about it. And make sure that nothing that caused you to walk away 10 years ago still exists. Because if you go back into it, it's just going to raise its ugly head. And then you're going to be sitting there writing us again saying, why did I do this? It doesn't make sense. Ladies, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm being too harsh.
Well, I don't think you're being too harsh. However, I am not going to tell someone to not go back or to go back because ultimately that's their decision. It's the consequences they'll have to face. What I will say though is in reading the letter, to me it looked like she was making excuses, and I totally get the dating pool out there sucks because it does. But, some of the things that she said, she talked about wanting to put the family back together. Well, your children are grown. 24,
they're out the house.
24 and 20. When this whole thing happened 10 years ago, they were 10 and 14, which, teenagers, preteen, that you went through some difficulties, but you persevered with the girls. You got them one through school. She's working. The other one is halfway through, and that's commendable. And, probably now with that, and you don't have, the focus on the children, you're getting lonely. And, of course, you got him in your ear, but think about what you said about him, what you don't want to deal with, the infidelity, the lack of support, the unemployment, and yeah, of course he wants to come back if you was taking care of him, and I mean, you don't have to make excuses to us to justify your decision, and maybe, you're doing that because you're preparing yourself for what you have to say to other people. It's your life, it's your decision. But what I would say is, in line with what you said, cousin, zebras don't change their stripes. And you said he's 52, by that age, how a person is established. He they talk about you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I'm just saying. He has gotten to that age doing the things that he's been doing. So, I mean, if you decide to go back with your eyes wide open in that this will be your life again. And if you're okay with that because you just are tired of being alone, the girls are, one is gone, one is halfway through college and will be gone soon. And, at least, you've known him all these years. I remember when I was divorcing my ex-husband, his sister said to me, well, it's better the devil you know than the one you don't. How about I don't have a devil, period, and I just be by myself? I'm just saying. But, a lot of times people feel like, well, at least I know what his vices are. I know what I went through. I know what I have to put up with. Whereas, I mean, yes, getting to know someone, getting past the lies and the things that happen in the beginning where they're trying to put their best foot forward, which may not be a truthful foot. Yes, that's, not a good thing, but, just kind of weigh out everything, weigh out everything. And, because, you have not found success in dating doesn't mean that if you just wait a little longer, you'll find the one that's going to be supportive, that's not going to cheat on you, that's not going to always not have a job and you have to take care. That person is out there and he's probably looking for you, but until you can kind of get past the fixation with your spouse, he's not going to be presented to you, you know what I mean? So just kind of think long and hard, and if that's your decision, then, so be it, but, go into it with your eyes open, right? And going into it, make sure that, you get a full STD panel, because it's been 10 years, as well as HIV, I'm just saying, because you know what you've done over the 10 years. If you had issues with him being unfaithful during the relationship, just, make sure that he has nothing else he's bringing to you, like luggage, that you may not want. So, and if you decide to go that route, and like I said, it's your decision, I would really, really recommend couples therapy, because it's some issues there I think that would need to be worked through from the past, because I feel like even though you're wanting to do this and you wrote us this letter, you're still thinking about the things that happened. And like for me, I know I have some things I can't get past. So I dealt with infidelity and going back after that, and the end result was I can't get past that. So I know going forward, if something like that, or there was something like that in a relationship, it would never be revisited. But that's just me. So that's my thoughts, Naomi. I know I went along. I'm sorry.
Okay, so in light of what both Cousin Howard and you have said, Lady P, I'm just going to revert to her last question. Have you seen other couples remarry after long separation and live happily ever after? And the answer is yes. I have seen couples get back together and, enjoy themselves and become there genuinely apologetic and ready to make it work and make it last, and they've done so. But I've also seen couples who have gotten together and stayed together, and I can't say that they were happy.
Okay.
So I would say examine what you're talking about. Are you talking about getting back with him? Or are you talking about being happily ever after? And are you willing to do what it takes to be happily ever after, even if it means dealing with the infidelity issues again, even if it means having a man who may be on unemployment sometimes, even if it means maybe forgetting some of the stamina and strength that you've developed over these 10 years and submitting yourself to your husband. So that would be it for me. That would be what I would ask, is that you just think about, are you talking about getting together and being married, or are you talking about getting together and living happily ever after? Because as Lady P said, your kids are 20 and 24, which means that they're going to be having their own lives and doing their own thing. And I don't know if they're going to college locally or not. If they're not going to college locally, they may not even come back afterwards. So putting the family back together is not dependent on you and your husband being married.
Right.
I definitely want to say that. Putting the family together is not dependent on the two of you being married. And just think, happily ever after and being together forever can be the same thing, but doesn't have to be.
Right. That's true. That's true. So, we just encourage you, letter writer, to really weigh everything out. I would say write down your pros and your cons. And a pro could be that you're lonely. It's understandable. You've got children that are leaving the nest, and there's a thing called the empty nest syndrome. But, is it really enough are you willing to deal with what your life was before the separation and divorce? knowing that there's a good possibility that it'll be like that. And yes, he will probably say, no, I'm done. I'm not going to do that. I want my family back. I want you back. And some people say that and they really stick to it and they do the things necessary. Some people, if it's ingrained in their character, it's hard to say. And we don't know
That's
him.
that's why I said whatever caused them to separate that 4 years and got divorced 6 years later, do your homework. See if any of those traits are still there. Don't just jump up because you're lonely right now and he's there and you know him. That don't mean he has changed. It doesn't mean you have changed. See? But a lot of people, they get back together for the wrong reasons and they lie to themselves. Like Naomi said, you've seen couples get back together and they're not happy. And then you've seen couples get back together and they're happy. But I think the ones that get back together and are happy and make it is because they realize, okay, he changed or she changed and it's changed for the better and they work on it. But to me, maybe I'm wrong. See? But she sung like she just don't want to be alone. And he sung like, man, this is a free ride. See? So they're getting back together for the wrong reasons. And it's not going to work. But again, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, like I said, we don't know the specifics, and maybe it's a case of this person had a Saul on the road to Damascus type situation and has truly changed. I mean, it happens. We don't know this, so maybe the person that he was, maybe in the past 10 years, he turned his life over to Christ, made a change. Maybe he the deacon, Reverend Deacon Dr. Doug or something by now. I mean, we don't know any of this. So, I mean, it's possible. I don't know. All I say is just weigh out everything and, just be wise. And if you decide to go that route, definitely, I would say before marriage and, you want to decide you want to pursue it, do some couples therapy, do some premarital counseling, and just kind of weigh everything out and, make sure it's not because of, now it could be because of this whole COVID thing and you bored in the house and in the house bored and, at least you'd be booed up. I don't know. But just weigh all your options and go from there. That's all we can recommend, and we hope that you heed our advice. And anyone else that's tuned in or listening to the show that may be experiencing something similar or contemplating reunited with an ex, just weigh everything out. And in the end, it's your decision. No one can tell you either take them back or don't take them back. It's your decision. You are responsible for it, whatever consequences that comes with it. But we wish you all the best.
I would like to add something, Lady P.
Yes.
Just in terms of getting back together. Sometimes we rush so quick into getting back together and we forget that it's okay to date. So getting back together doesn't mean, okay, we back together next month, we're going to get married.
Right, true.
Take the time to date. Take the time to enjoy the person that you're trying to get back with. And I
get
just
to
really
know them
can't
again.
say that
Yeah,
enough.
true. So just because you decide you want to see if it's going to work, it doesn't mean that it will, but at least, maybe it would answer the questions that you have in the back of your head. Maybe if you had, given it another try when he said he wasn't going to do it anymore, maybe it would have been different. So as you date and, really get to see who he is now 10 years later, then hopefully you can make a better decision in, seeing who he is, if there's really been any lasting change. And maybe it's a change in you in what you're willing to deal with, because honestly, a relationship is not made on the good times. It's made on the bad times and how you navigate through those things. So, it's a difficult decision, but it's your decision, and we just want to give you the proper tools to make a decision that will be beneficial for you, right? So, with that in mind, do we have any further thoughts on the topic from either of you? No? Well, I thank you both for joining me. And we won't have a show next week. Next week is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Naomi. And we will
Happy Mother's Day,
Same
ladies.
to you. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. And
I'm not a mother. I'm a father.
she was talking to me, cousin. And we'll get you on Father's Day. We'll tell you Happy Father's Day. So, guys, have an awesome rest of the evening. Awesome week and next week, and we will see you in 2 weeks. All right? So,
All
bye.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Everyone. All right. So, guys, we've come to the end of our episode. We hope that we shed some light on information about the pandemic and relationships. And, even with this letter, if it's something that kind of resonates with you, we hope that the advice we gave our letter writer is something that you can apply in whatever situation you're dealing with. But we thank you for joining us. We had a ball. We hope you enjoyed it as well. And we will be back in 2 weeks. So, have a great rest of the week, huh? We're going to see you next time.
96.2 The Smooth Road. Grown Folks Radio with Lady P.